All right, Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports, 97.3, ESPN.com. He'll cover the Eagles this season, and he's been doing so very well each and every day at training camp. We got more on that, NFC East, and, I guess we got a lot of Eagles stuff to kind of dive into here, and one of which I guess is a little disappointing. We talked the other day about Davion Taylor and the surprise he's been and how much this injury is going to prevent that surprise from actually getting out on the field.
Yeah, and that's what's upsetting. And I wrote about this morning. Davion Taylor, I'm doing a stock up, stock down for Friday, Mike. Davion Taylor was going to be my number one choice. He has been the pleasant surprise of camp. It's been him, Zach McPherson, and Josh Sweat. They've been the three right now. And it's a shame because the Eagles have been looking for an extra pass rusher and Anthony Barr type linebacker to put back there. I mean, Ryan Kerrigan is eventually going to be that role. But Davion Taylor was that guy. He basically locked up one of the starting one or two linebacker spots based on the first week of camp and how they just kind of threw him into the fire. And what happens? Well, now he's week to week with first he had the quad injury. Now he has the calf injury. So this guy needs reps, Mike. He only had 32 defensive snaps last year. He's a guy that has a lot of potential, a lot of promise. The Eagles really do seem to like him. And, it's just a shame that we're really not going to see him much in the preseason because I think he needs those game reps. And we're not going to see him much of training camp.
And if he doesn't get to play in games and you don't get to see him, can they really trust putting him on the field? This is a guy who was very green, very raw. We had no anticipation. And look, there's always a training camp star. There's always that guy who kind of sticks out. But if you don't see him for a full camp, can you really trust putting him out there? Or do you think they said, we're impressed enough by this kid, trial by fire?
I think there's going to be a trial by fire, but I don't think it's going to be right away. That's what I think is going to happen now. You got guys like Eric Wilson. You got Alex Singleton. Alex Singleton, he's got experience. But again, he's just got off the COVID list. He still has to catch up here. But he's going to be ahead of Davion Taylor when it's all said and done, Mike. That's what worries me about this whole thing. Eric Wilson's been mixing in between the first and second team, but really all the linebackers have. They like Jannard Avery and kind of like that extra pass rusher role. So with Joe, same with Joe Osman. So it's going to be interesting what the final linebacking or the two linebackers that are going to play the majority of the snaps shake out. I still think it's going to be Wilson and Singleton, but Davion Taylor was going to be one of those two before all this. I still think he has a role in this defense. It's just going to take him a little while to catch up.
Wait, so you think that Davion Taylor was essentially going to be a starter?
The way it was looking, yes.
All right, interesting. I'm a little surprised by that. Zach McPherson, you said he's on your stock up, one of your top three. He's not going to beat out Steven Nelson, right?
Oh, no. But if Steven Nelson wasn't here, we'd be having a whole different conversation right now. We'd be basically saying Zach McPherson's QB, Stevie too. He just would have been. But this is why I love the Steven Nelson sign, because now you got to see what Zach McPherson is and how he can progress. And he's going to have time to learn under Avonte Maddox, under Darius Slay, under Steven Nelson. This guy is going to be good for them. And he's having a really good camp. Has his hands on the football. He's making plays, and I kind of like how he's playing in the Leo Shepard, Sheldon Brown role from 2002 until 2003, when those guys basically had to come play because Bobby Taylor was getting older and Troy Vincent was hurt and all that. So I like how can I say it, where Zach McPherson is at right now. I'll tell you what, he's going to be a guy I can't wait to watch next week in the preseason.
Me too. I agree. I want to get your take on. I had a question from a listener that I'll ask you, but my question is, we shouldn't be surprised about what Travis Fulgham said today, but
are we though?
No, I said we shouldn't be surprised, right? We're not. Are you surprised that Fulgham basically told everybody what we all thought, which was he was playing and he was told essentially that this was Alshon Jeffrey's job?
That's basically what it was. And, I love the honesty out of him. And look, he ain't bashed his old coaches. And he said, I'm not going to question the coaching staff. But you could tell he was upset. He goes, wait a minute, what do I got to do here? I caught, I think it was 27 passes. He was first in the league in receiving yards from week 4 to week 8. And then he comes out of the bye and doesn't play. And look, I know he played the majority of that first game back. I think he played 81% of the snaps. And he only had one catch for 8 yards, something like that. It wasn't a good performance. But then it was they kind of dished him to okay, yeah, this guy's a flash in the pan. And then Alshon Jeffrey played, and that was the end of it. I wanted to see Travis Fulgham play more with Jalen Hurts, and I was kind of surprised by this. I shouldn't be, but I was. at the end of that press conference, Mike, did you catch that Travis Fulgham said Jalen Hurts is the reason I was even on the 53-man roster because he was endorsing me in camp, and I mean in practices, and that's great. That means their chemistry is a lot better than probably we thought it was going into camp this year.
Oh yeah. Now the question that I got from a listener, and I answered, and I want to see if your answer matches my answer, which was, do you think that Peterson made the decision, or was he told to play Alshon Jeffrey?
Oh, boy. This is a good one. I think he was told.
Whoa, you got to be kidding me.
I think he was told.
Wait a second.
I think Doug checked out. I think Doug checked out.
Hold on a second. So you think Roseman said to Peterson, you have to play Alshon Jeffrey?
I do, yeah. I did. Honestly, at this point, I think Doug checked out. I really did. So
Hold on. Didn't we criticize Doug a lot for being too loyal to some of his Super Bowl guys?
He was, yeah, and he was. And, if you want to be honest, Mike, I'll go one step further. I believe there's a division on this team between the guys who won a Super Bowl and the guys who didn't. And Travis Fulgham was obviously one of those guys who didn't.
Yeah, okay. Hold on a second. I totally disagree with you, Kerr. All right.
All right.
I'm happy to have a good disagreement here. So listen, you're Howie Roseman. You have been getting raked over the coals about how bad your drafting has been. Wouldn't you want to have a guy that you found, a diamond in the rough, to say, hey, I found that guy?
You would think.
You got to play that guy, not this guy. This guy, we didn't want him here to begin with.
This is what I get for hanging out with John McMullen too much and talking to him, because McMullen is set on Howie Roseman is going to pretty much give Andre Dillard the starting job just because he was a first-round pick, even though I will relinquish that today.
Okay, I will say this, and I did say this before. I said because the text message suggested that Roseman wanted to play Alshon because monetarily they were paying him more. And I said, all right, from all accounts, and you can comment on this, Mailata is kicking Dillard's butt, right?
Oh my God, yeah, it's not even close.
Okay. If they start Dillard over Mailata, that is them saying you have to play him because he was a first-round pick. And then at that point, I might change my mind. But if that doesn't occur, if I'm Howie Roseman, okay, I missed on the first-round pick, fine. But I found a guy in the 7th round that almost, you know what I'm saying?
Like, no one wanted.
Well, I found a guy in the 7th round that nobody even heard of.
You know what? It's funny. Like, the only reason I heard of Jordan Mailata, and I was telling this on First 365 this morning, because it was pretty much, I was just watching draft tape and watching some old rugby stuff. I'm like, why isn't this guy playing the NFL? And lo and behold, the Eagles trade up and actually do it. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess he wanted an NFL career.
So I am very surprised that you think that Roseman told Peterson he has to play Alshon. Because to me, I would think that Roseman would have, if he could have figured out a way to get rid of Jeffrey, he would have.
Well, Howie Roseman created that mess by restructuring the guy's contract when he could have got rid of him after the season anyway. But no, he had to restructure his contract and give him all that money up front. So you're paying Alshon Jeffrey, like, I forget how much it was now. It was like $12, $13 million. I'm probably way off on it, but I know it was over $10 million. And all of a sudden, I have a feeling it was just, he's back, you have to play him. And I think Doug just checked out, didn't care, whatever. Oh, and by the way, he doesn't really get along with Carson either, as far as I know.
All right, that one's interesting. And I did say, that if Dillard wins that job, that'll make me suspicious that somebody was told Dillard has to play. If Dillard
Dillard should not win that job. As of August 4th, he should not win that job.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of another, because we've always kind of suggested, like, Peterson's always loyal to he was always a little too loyal to.
Loyal to a fault.
Right. That's why I said he was loyal to Alshon. Alshon won a Super Bowl. He was loyal to him, and that's why when he was healthy, he gave him his job back. I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting one. That was a good little disagreement there, because I was shocked. I was shocked.
But that one we did.
Jeff, I was shocked you said that. I was fell out of my seat over here.
I wanted to see you fall out of your seat for that, because I'm like, I don't think he's gonna like what I'm gonna tell him.
No, I did not like what you had to say, but I respect your opinion, and everybody has one, right? We all have our opinions.
Exactly.
That's yours. All right. But the Fulgham stuff, he essentially said that he got pushed out by Alshon. So my question to follow up on that is, where do they see Fulgham on the depth chart here? Is he one of the three? Is he, the other guy? Where is he?
Well, I think he's one of the three. I think they do like Fulgham a lot. It's just, and remember Doug said all about the whole practice thing? Oh, he doesn't give 100%. Well, Fulgham kind of admitted that today. So this is where you might be right, Mike. Well, you're not going to practice. You're not going to play. I'm going to go the whole high school route here. But they do like Fulgham, and they're going to have to need Fulgham. And what I was told was McMullen did tell me this, but Fulgham has been really consistent in camp. He hasn't been great, hasn't been terrible. Well, I like that. I do. He's not wowing anybody, but he doesn't suck either. And I think the Eagles kind of need that right now. And Fulgham basically said, if you want to throw me the ball 10 times per game, I'll gladly embrace that role. I think the kid has a lot to prove this year. He's only 25 years old. I'll tell you what, Mike, they need him and they need Jalen Reagor to step up. I don't think this Eagles wide receiver core is, I'll say inexperienced, but I don't think they're good either. But that's not their fault. These guys can develop. And I have high hopes for Jalen Reagor, and I think Fulgham can be consistent. And if those two can do that and you bring in Devonta Smith, all of a sudden this receiving core is actually decent, and that's all they need right now. They need a decent wide receiver core because the last couple of years it's just stunk.
I agree. And do they have one? I mean, where's Hightower? Where's Watkins? Where is J.J. Arcega-Whiteside right now in their development?
I'll tell you this, Mike. I'll go one further here. Remember a month ago, we thought the Eagles cornerbacks stunk outside Darius Slay. Well, all of a sudden now, dare I say it, they may be good. So why can't this wide receiver core do the same thing with young guys? And I don't know. We talked about this the other day. Maybe they need a veteran, maybe they don't. But John Hightower's all of a sudden playing a little better in camp. Wes Watkins has had a pretty good camp. He's on my stock up right now. So I really like him.
Yeah.
Greg Ward's Greg Ward. He's going to catch the ball. I think he finds a way on this roster. So Michael Walker, before he got hurt, he was probably the second best receiver outside Devonta Smith in camp. And, what does that tell you about Jalen Reagor and those guys there? Yeah. But I will say this. I think this group has potential. And I don't think you give up on any of these guys yet. I think this year was a big prove-it year for a lot of these receivers to see what they can do. I don't expect much out of John Hightower and Wes Watkins because they were lower-round draft picks. But anything you can get out of them is going to be such a bonus because those guys do have speed. They're big play receivers. I think they can fit well in an offense. So overall, you obviously know the three. It's going to be Smith, Fulgham, Reagor. And then after that, most of these guys are battling for plays. I have no hopes for J.J. Arcega-Whiteside at all. I'm sorry, I just don't.
I got to be the only guy left holding out hope, and that's because I respect the coaching staff that can get something out of this guy. Maybe that's just me, because apparently they have moved him to the slot and said that's what you're going to be, and he's saying, I feel more comfortable with knowing where I'm at. What's
so frustrating about him is I liked him coming out of the draft, too. I wasn't like a J.J. Arcega-Whiteside hater by any means. And he was actually really good in the 19 preseason. I'm like, okay, he's going to develop behind these veterans.
I remember that. People were like, wow, they found something here.
Yeah, and it just never panned out. And I don't know why. I don't know if it was, honestly, I thought his best game was week 16 against the Cowboys when they caught that first pass.
Well, I think a lot of it was they had kind of asked him to kind of learn multiple positions, and I think that kind of stunted him.
Well, this is why I'll stick with you on the I wouldn't abandon him yet train. Because it does take receivers.
I think by the end of this conversation, you're going to agree with me on the Fulgham stuff, too.
I don't know about that one. But I will say this.
That's good.
I've given up on him just because I haven't liked what I've seen. But again, they have a wide receiver coach, Nick Sirianni, and Travis Fulgham actually said it's nice having basically two receiver coaches on the field. So anybody can get anything out of J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
Yeah.
It is Nick Sirianni in this coaching staff.
All right, last one. Kerryon Johnson said something today. I don't know if Kerryon Johnson makes a team, but he said something that should make Eagles fans excited, which would be, wow, this is a pretty damn good offensive line I'm getting to run behind.
Yeah, and they've all said that. I think every running back has said that to this point. And you know what? I get tired of people saying the Eagles' offensive line isn't any good. Well, no, they were good. Everybody got hurt. Lane Johnson got hurt. Brandon Brooks got hurt. Jason Kelce was banged up. Their problem was Jason Pierce forced his way into left tackle last year because they didn't have one. They didn't know what they had in Jordan Mailata yet. And Andre Dillard was Andre Dillard. He got hurt. He had that elbow injury, and that was it. So they didn't have a left tackle last year. So Jason Peters found his way moving from left guard to left tackle, for a raise, and that was the end of it. Everybody just got hurt. So, yeah, if you look at Mailata and his potential, and he's playing up to it this camp, Sayamalu is better than good. Kelsey is still one of the best in the league, even as he. Brandon Brooks, dare I say more. Lane Johnson, dare I say more. This is a good offensive line, and they have depth. And there are going to be guys that are NFL linemen that do not make this roster. No one likes Matt Pryor, but Matt Pryor is an NFL offensive lineman. He's going to have a role on a 53-man roster somewhere, even if it's not Philadelphia. This offensive line is deep. They're good. They're going to protect the quarterback, and they're going to create holes for the running back. So this is why I actually think, everybody thinks I'm being a hater on the Eagles offense because I'm not really praising the wide receiver core. They may not need to because they can run the ball, and I still think they can find ways to score points. Like, there may not be great receiver talent, but there is talent on this team.
I have maintained from way before that this team is going to be better than many people think, and the reason I give is their offensive line. Their offensive line will be one of the better if they're healthy. Now, if they have the problems they had last year, that's a different story. The caveat is if their offensive line can remain healthy, they have one of the best offensive lines in football. And if you have one of the better offensive lines in football, you compete. So that, to me, is the big difference between this season and last season. Jeff Kerr.
If their offensive line is as good as I think it's going to be, and their defensive line is as good as I think it's going to be, they're going to have a chance to win that division.
Sports Bash Live, Jeff Kerr. At Jeff Kerr CBS. The NFL season is just around the corner. Tomorrow night, Hall of Fame game. Next Thursday, Eagles-Steelers. Listen to them both right here on 97.3 ESPN. All right, Jeff, we will talk on Friday. You think about that Peterson-Roseman thing, all right? I'll ask you again on Friday.
When I go to the link Friday for this media tour, maybe I'll find somebody and ask them what happened, and then we'll get the
There you go. Do a little digging and come back to me. All right, brother?
All right.
All right, my man. Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports, 97.3 ESPN.com, covering the Eagles this season.